And now joining us live now is Caroline Heldman, political strategist and professor at Occidental College. Thanks for joining us. Caroline, we were in the studio together watching those returns come in last night. So what were some of your biggest takeaways for Trump? Like what went right for Donald Trump and what went wrong for Kamala Harris?
Well, what went right for Donald Trump is he made gains with every demographic, especially with white women. It looks like they're going to break for him, unusually so, but also Black men, Latin men, younger voters across the board. He made gains. And it looks like in the swing states, Kamala Harris was down about 1.6 percentage points on average, and Trump was up over her over 3 points in non-swing states. So that speaks to the fact that her campaign actually mattered because she was focused in those swing states. At the end of the day, though, it's hard to say what went wrong for Kamala Harris, but I can say for sure, as somebody who studies women in the presidency, that the 130 women who have run over our 250 years as a country and the 18 who have made a very serious bid all have faced specific challenges because they don't fit this mold of presidential masculinity. And it was so clear in this election. So I will say that that is at least one factor here, especially given that Trump has run 3 elections, 2 against women. He beat these women, sometimes unexpectedly, well, certainly in 2016. But the one man he ran against beat him. So I know gender played a role in this election.
And in this race, Trump not only won the Electoral College, but looks like he's probably going to win the popular vote as well. And after a chaotic first term, he will enter the White House with actual experience. So what could the next 4 years look like for Trump's second term?
That's a great point, Ryan. So he is better at it. He knows the ropes now. We know that he has fewer guardrails because so many of his previous staff have spoken about that. I'm expecting his deportation policy to maybe be a top priority, given that that was so front and central in the campaign. So let's see who he plans to deport. He's mentioned, the 12 million undocumented migrants who are here in the United States. He's also mentioned the 60 million number that would include people who have legally migrated here. So it's hard to say what will happen, but expect something there. I would also expect a national abortion ban to be put up right quick, especially if the Republicans get the House, but given their majority in the Senate and a court that would support this, I think Donald Trump will push for that. Let's see whether or not Ukraine, he hands it over to Putin. He said he would do that. I'm hoping that maybe he puts Tom Cotton or some other level-headed person in, and that does not happen. I don't think it's within the best interest of the country, but I would expect him to deliver on some of these bigger kind of, really bold policy choices that he made for this campaign.
Donald Trump becomes president as a convicted felon. He still faces charges in several other indictments and cases. Does that follow him into the White House, or do they get to put on hold, or do they even just go away now?
Everything's going to go away. That would be my guess. Jack Smith is already winding down his shop. Donald Trump, of course, has the ability to pardon himself at the federal level, and the state cases. We know that the Florida case is on hold because of what happened with Fani Willis and the investigation there. I would be shocked if Donald Trump, any court of law, were to go after him for any of these open cases. Of course, he still has his sentencing for the 34 felony counts, and that will happen likely before he takes office. So maybe a slap on the wrist for that, but everything else probably goes away.
Yeah, love him or hate him, he seems to be like Teflon, right?
Indeed, he said, he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and no one would do anything. And I always say, the bodies are piling up. Donald Trump is right. He can basically do whatever he wants to do. I mean, we've never seen a more misogynistic, xenophobic, kind of openly racist campaign in U.S. history. We just haven't seen that. And yet, he gained support in all of these demographic groups across the board.
All right. Professor Caroline Heldman, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Ryan.